Do that?
Mix up things. I want to hear this story.
Samuel L. Jackson is known for his strong voice, bold roles, and unforgettable screen moments. For decades, he has played heroes, villains, and everything in between. But behind the fame is a man who values one thing more than awards or box office numbers: his family, especially his wife, LaTanya Richardson Jackson. Their love story has lasted for decades in an industry where most relationships fade fast. So when recent news about LaTanya's health came out, it hit hard. This time, the tears were real. This was Samuel L. Jackson as a husband, facing his hardest role yet. Join us as we explore the story behind his tears and the love holding them together. Growing up, finding his voice. Samuel L. Jackson was born on December 21, 1948, in Washington, D.C. He was the only child of Elizabeth Harriet Jackson and Roy Henry Jackson. But his early life was not spent with both parents together. He grew up in Chattanooga, Tennessee, raised mostly by his mother, his grandparents, and extended family. His father lived far away in Kansas City and struggled with alcoholism. Samuel met him only twice in his entire life. That distance shaped him early. His mother worked hard, first in a factory and later buying supplies for a psychiatric hospital. Money was not easy, but support and discipline were strong at home. As a child, Samuel developed a stutter. Instead of letting it stop him, he found a way around it. He later said he learned to pretend to be other people who did not stutter. Without knowing it, he was already acting. School life was shaped by segregation. He attended several segregated schools before graduating from Riverside High School in Chattanooga. Music became an outlet. He played the French horn, piccolo, trumpet, and flute in the school orchestra. Even then, performance was pulling him in, but his future still looked very different. At that point, he thought his life would follow a straight path into science. Yet something was already building under the surface, quietly setting up a turn he did not expect. College, anger, and a turning point. After high school, Samuel attended Morehouse College in Atlanta. His plan was to study marine biology. It sounded stable, safe. He even worked as a cheerleader while studying, but college changed him in ways he never planned. He joined a local acting group just to earn extra points in a class. That small decision shifted everything. Acting caught his attention fast. He switched his major and leaned into drama. Before graduating, he helped co-found the Just Us Theater, showing early leadership and passion. But this period was also marked by anger and unrest. The assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. in 1968 hit him deeply. He attended King's funeral as an usher and later traveled to Memphis to join an equal rights protest march. Years later, he explained his mindset clearly. "I was angry about the assassination, but I wasn't shocked by it. I knew that change was going to take something different. Not sit-ins, not peaceful coexistence." In 1969, that anger boiled over. Samuel and other students held members of the Morehouse College Board of Trustees hostage, demanding changes in school policies. The college agreed to reforms, but the cost was high. Samuel was charged and convicted of unlawful confinement, a second-degree felony. He was suspended for 2 years. During that suspension, he worked as a social worker in Los Angeles. He later returned to Atlanta and met figures active in the Black Power movement. He felt empowered, especially when the movement turned toward buying guns. But danger followed fast. The FBI warned his mother that her son would likely die within a year if he stayed involved. She sent him back to Los Angeles. Years later, he made it clear he was never a member of the Black Panther Party. Eventually, Samuel returned to Morehouse and earned his BA in drama in 1972. The storm had passed, but the scars and lessons stayed with him, pushing him toward a different kind of fight. The struggle years, on stage and off. Samuel's career did not take off overnight. After graduating, he started with stage work. He appeared in plays like Home and a Soldier's Play, the same story that later inspired the film A Soldier's Story. His first film role came in 1972 in the independent movie Together for Days. It was a start, but not a breakthrough. In 1976, he moved from Atlanta to New York City. For the next 10 years, life was about survival and patience. He worked in theater, including major productions like The Piano Lesson and Two Trains Running at the Yale Repertory Theater. To pay the bills, he worked overnight as a security guard at an apartment complex. Days were auditions, nights were work. But behind the scenes, another battle was growing. Samuel developed addictions to alcohol and cocaine. Those addictions cost him real opportunities. He lost roles that were meant to move to Broadway. Other actors stepped in instead. The struggle became heavier in the early 1980s. Still, his talent was noticed. After a strong performance in A Soldier's Play, director Spike Lee took interest. That connection would change everything. Spike Lee cast him in School Days and later Do the Right Thing. Around the same time, Samuel worked as a stand-in for Bill Cosby on The Cosby Show for 3 years. He was learning the industry from every angle. He also found guidance from Morgan Freeman, who mentored him during these early film years. Small roles followed in movies like Coming to America and television films. In 1990, he appeared in Goodfellas as Stax Edwards. But off-screen, his addiction reached a breaking point. After multiple heroin overdoses and a shift to cocaine, his family stepped in. They placed him in a New York rehabilitation clinic. It was a hard reset, one that nearly ended everything, but instead opened the door to the most important role of his life: rehab, recognition, and the breakthrough moment. After completing rehab, Samuel stepped back into acting almost immediately. Just a week after getting out, he was on set for Jungle Fever. He played a crack cocaine addict, a role that hit close to home. He later described the experience as cathartic. It was a funny kind of thing. By the time I was out of rehab, about a week or so later, I was on set, and we were ready to start shooting. The performance stunned audiences and critics. It was so powerful that the Cannes Film Festival jury created a special Supporting Actor Award just for him. That moment changed how Hollywood saw Samuel L. Jackson. He was no longer a background face. Offers followed quickly. He appeared in Strictly Business, Juice, and Patriot Games. Comedy roles came next, including National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon 1, his first starring role, and Amos and Andrew. Then came 1993, a year that sealed his place in film history. He worked with Steven Spielberg on Jurassic Park, stepping into a massive global hit. Around that same time, he reflected on his sudden rise with Honesty. Casting black actors is still strange for Hollywood. Denzel gets the offer first. Then it's Danny Glover, Forrest Whitaker, and Wesley Snipes. Right now, I'm the next one on the list. It was not bitterness. It was awareness. After decades of struggle, setbacks, anger, and recovery, Samuel had finally arrived. But the journey had shaped him deeply. Every role carried weight. Every success came with memory. And just as his career reached new heights, his personal life and long-standing relationships would soon become just as important to the story still unfolding. The role that changed everything. By the early 1990s, Samuel L. Jackson had already worked hard for years, but his true breakthrough came in 1994. It started with a role in True Romance in 1993, where he played the criminal Big Don. The film was written by Quentin Tarantino and directed by Tony Scott. That performance caught Tarantino's attention in a big way. Soon after, Tarantino asked Jackson to play Jules Winfield in Pulp Fiction. What shocked Jackson the most was learning that the role had been written specifically for him. He later shared how it made him feel, saying, "To know that somebody had written something like Jules for me, I was overwhelmed, thankful, arrogant. This whole combination of things that you could be." Pulp Fiction became Jackson's 30th film, but it was the one that changed his life. The movie made him famous around the world almost overnight. Critics could not stop praising him. Entertainment Weekly wrote that while other stars were great, the actor who reigns over Pulp Fiction is Samuel L. Jackson. His performance earned him major recognition. including an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor, a Golden Globe nomination, and a BAFTA Award win. Suddenly, Samuel L. Jackson was no longer a struggling actor. He was a name Hollywood could not ignore, and with that fame came a flood of new offers that would test his choices and his range. Fame, pressure, and finding balance. After Pulp Fiction, scripts came pouring in. Jackson later admitted that many writers and studios wanted him to play versions of Jules again and again. He said, "I could easily have made a career out of playing Jules over the years, but not every project landed well. Films like Kiss of Death, The Great White Hype, and Losing Isaiah did not perform as expected. Some critics who once praised him began to question his choices. It was a tough moment because the pressure to follow up Pulp Fiction was intense, but Jackson did not slow down. He pushed forward and soon found his footing again. Two major box office hits helped reset the story. One was Die Hard with a Vengeance, where he starred alongside Bruce Willis. The film was a huge success and showed he could carry a blockbuster. The other was A Time to Kill, where he played a father on trial after killing two men who assaulted his daughter. The role was emotional and powerful. It earned him an NAACP Image Award for Best Supporting Actor and another Golden Globe nomination. These performances reminded audiences that Jackson was more than one iconic character. He could move between action, drama, and deep emotion with ease. Just when it seemed like he had proven his point, he stepped into even more demanding roles that would further define his place in Hollywood, becoming a box office star. By 1997, Samuel L. Jackson had fully become a box office star. That year alone, he took on three very different leading roles. In 1877, he played a dedicated teacher trying to make a difference in the lives of troubled students. The role showed a softer but firm side of him that many had not seen before. That same year, he was involved in Eve's Bayou, a powerful drama where he also served as executive producer. The film earned strong praise, and Jackson received an Independent Spirit Award for Best First Feature alongside first-time director Kasi Lemmons. Then came another reunion with Quentin Tarantino in Jackie Brown. Jackson played Ordell Robbie, a smooth but dangerous arms dealer. The performance earned him the Silver Bear for Best Actor at the Berlin Film Festival and yet another Golden Globe nomination. In 1998, he continued working with top names in Hollywood. He appeared in Sphere with Sharon Stone and Dustin Hoffman. He also starred in The Negotiator alongside Kevin Spacey, playing a hostage negotiator who ends up taking hostages himself after being falsely accused of serious crimes. These roles showed his range again and again. He could be calm, intense, funny, or frightening, sometimes all in one scene. Each project pushed him higher, setting the stage for roles that would make him part of major film history. Icons, legacy, and the stage returns. In 1999, Samuel L. Jackson stepped into two roles that expanded his global reach even further. One was in the thriller Deep Blue Sea. The other was as Jedi Master Mace Windu in Star Wars Episode I, The Phantom Menace. Jackson later shared that he did not even know he was playing Mace Windu until he was fitted for the costume. Still, he was eager to accept any role just to be part of the Star Wars world. That role turned him into a legend for an entirely new generation. Over the years, he continued building an unmatched film career. He became known as Nick Fury in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, starting with Iron Man in 2008 and appearing in many Marvel films, along with series like Secret Invasion and What If. He also voiced Frozone in the Incredibles films and starred in major hits like Unbreakable, Shaft, XXX, Coach Carter, Snakes on a Plane, Kingsman, The Secret Service, and Glass. Yet even with all that success, Jackson never left his roots behind. In 2020, he appeared in the documentary series Enslaved. In 2021, he returned to film with Spiral. From the Book of Saw, then came a powerful return to the stage. After 11 years away from Broadway, he starred in a revival of August Wilson's The Piano Lesson. The production was directed by his wife, LaTanya Richardson Jackson. His performance earned him a Tony Award nomination, closing a full-circle moment in his career. Even now, Jackson continues to move forward with new projects, upcoming films, and new roles, proving that his story is still unfolding, with more chapters waiting just ahead. But what about his personal life? A love that started before the fame. Samuel L. Jackson's personal life has always been deeply tied to one person: his wife, LaTanya Richardson Jackson. The two met while attending Morehouse College in Atlanta, long before fame entered their lives. In 1980, they got married, choosing commitment at a time when neither of them had any guarantee of success. 2 years later, they welcomed their daughter, Zoe, born in 1982. While Samuel's career slowly grew, their home life stayed grounded. Family mattered more than image. In 2009, they took that belief further by starting a charity focused on supporting education. It was never just about success, but about giving back. Samuel has often spoken openly about his habits and passions outside of acting. He enjoys watching his own films in theaters, once saying, "Even during my theater years, I wished I could watch the plays I was in while I was in them." He also collects action figures of characters he has played, including Jules Winfield, Shaft, Mace Windu, and Frozone. These small details show a man who enjoys his work but never takes it too seriously. Yet behind the humor and pride was a much harder chapter that tested their marriage in ways fame never could: standing together through addiction. Early in his career, Samuel L. Jackson struggled with drug addiction. It was a dark period that could have ended both his career and his family. Years later, he spoke honestly about how bad things became. He said he had basically moved into the basement of their family home and acted like the troll in the basement. During that time, LaTanya stayed. Samuel openly praised her for not walking away when she easily could have. He admitted, "She didn't have to try to fix me. She could have just said, 'Get out,' and left me into the world. Instead, she gave him space, patience, and time." Samuel said, "She gave me the chance to be the man I was supposed to be." LaTanya later explained her own side of that choice. She said she could not leave because she felt a deeper responsibility. "I felt as though God had spoken to me and said, 'Now, you can't leave this young man like this. Give him some help. And then, if you feel like leaving afterwards, we'll talk about it.'" Their decision went beyond emotion. It was also rooted in values. LaTanya explained that they believed staying together was powerful. "The most revolutionary thing that Black people could do was stay together," she said, especially to push back against harmful ideas about Black families. They made a clear promise early on: "We are going to stay together no matter what. We'll figure it out." That promise became the backbone of their marriage and set the stage for a partnership that would later move beyond home and into their creative work. Partners in life and on the stage. As both of their careers grew, Samuel and LaTanya found ways to support each other without competing. LaTanya built a strong name for herself in theater, earning a Tony nomination in 2014 for A Raisin in the Sun. Years later, their personal and professional lives crossed in a meaningful way. They became producing partners on the Apple TV Plus limited series The Last Days of Ptolemy Gray. Samuel starred as a man living with dementia, a role that carried personal meaning for him. His grandfather had suffered from the disease, and Samuel explained why the story mattered so much. "It was important for us to tell this story and show that there's a life inside these people that needs to be explored." Their partnership reached another milestone in 2022, when LaTanya directed the Broadway revival of The Piano Lesson, starring Samuel. It was her return to directing and his return to the stage after many years. Samuel later received a Tony nomination for his performance. Their collaboration was not about control or ego. It was built on trust, formed over decades. That trust would be tested again when LaTanya faced her own personal health challenges and career crossroads, forcing her to make choices that surprised even her. LaTanya's return and a shared purpose. In early 2025, LaTanya Richardson Jackson was recovering from gallbladder surgery when she received a call from her longtime friend, Felicia Rashad. Rashad was directing a new Broadway play called Purpose and wanted LaTanya to star in it. At first, LaTanya said no. She had already decided she was done acting and wanted to focus on directing. But everything changed when she read the script. She described the moment clearly. "I start reading that script, and it was like, get me up out of this bed and let's get to New York." Just 2 weeks after surgery, she flew across the country and began rehearsals. In Purpose, LaTanya plays Claudine Jasper, a former civil rights leader facing the reality of aging and children who may not follow the same path. The role connected deeply to her own life and values. LaTanya began her career in theater during the 1970s, working to create art that supported change. Reflecting on her journey with Samuel, she said, "We met during a revolution." The play reflected that same spirit. She described the work as more than entertainment. "We are in a radical movement, and this is our offering," she said. "This is our protest." For LaTanya, Purpose became one of those rare moments where a role felt written just for her. This is something that you don't get to do or experience in life, but maybe a couple of times, she said. "It doesn't get any better than this." As Samuel watched her return to the stage with strength and purpose, their decades-long story of loyalty, belief, and shared values quietly continued, setting the emotional ground for the chapter that would follow next. Choosing family over the spotlight. For a long time, LaTanya Richardson Jackson lived a life that many people never fully saw. When Samuel L. Jackson's career began to rise in Hollywood during the 1980s, her own path shifted. Instead of chasing constant roles or attention, she made a choice that shaped decades of her life. She put her ambition aside to focus on raising their daughter, Zoe Dove. It was not a sacrifice made with bitterness. It was a decision rooted in love, stability, and belief in family. While Samuel worked long hours building his career, LaTanya kept their home grounded. She still acted when opportunities came up, taking small roles on screen, but her main focus stayed on being present as a mother. Years passed quietly. Fame grew around her, but she stayed steady. It was only after Zoe had grown up that LaTanya began to turn inward and ask herself what she wanted next. That shift did not happen early. It happened later, when many people believe opportunities slow down. But LaTanya did not see age as a limit. In 2009, at the age of 59, she made her Broadway debut in August Wilson's Joe Turner's Come and Gone. It was not a comeback. It was a beginning, a new chapter built on lived experience, patience, and years of watching stories unfold from the sidelines. That first step back onto the stage opened a door she had waited decades to walk through, and once she did, she was no longer willing to disappear again, refusing silence and claiming space. After her Broadway debut, LaTanya Richardson Jackson moved forward with confidence and clarity. Over the next decade, she took on roles that carried weight and meaning. Her performance in A Raisin in the Sun earned her her first Tony nomination and confirmed what many in theater already knew. She was not just returning, she belonged. Then came To Kill a Mockingbird, where she played Calpurnia. But this role became a turning point for a different reason. LaTanya was honest with director Bartlett Sher. She did not want to play a silent maid. She spoke plainly and directly, and because of that, the role was expanded for the stage. It was a quiet act of resistance, one rooted in dignity. That same honesty shaped her work on Purpose, written by Brandon Jacobs Jenkins. During rehearsals, LaTanya questioned how her character, Claudine Jasper, could carry so much pain without release. In one tense dinner scene, Claudine's husband criticizes her in front of their children, saying she has been slacking as a mother. LaTanya felt that moment could not stand alone. She explained her concern clearly, saying, "We had asked questions from the beginning, About Claudine, and how was she processing all of this without any outlet? She wanted to know where Claudine's strength would break through, where her voice would finally rise. That conversation mattered. It shaped the story, and it led to a moment that would soon become one of the most talked about scenes on Broadway. A moment that shook the room. In the second act of Purpose, Claudine finally speaks. The silence breaks. The restraint lifts. Her response to her husband is sharp, emotional, and deeply earned. "Picking up my slack," she says, "you wouldn't know where to begin." The line lands hard. Night after night, it brings applause from the audience. It is not just a line, it is recognition. For LaTanya Richardson Jackson, that moment represents something larger than a single character. Reflecting on the scene, she explained her belief with conviction. Men may have physical strength, but the impact of an emotional woman is worth much more weight than a man's, she said. Because we hold the world for real. We hold it up, and we hold everything that's inside of it. With Purpose, LaTanya's role became central, not secondary. Critics praised her performance. She received an award from Black women on Broadway. Her portrait was placed at Sardi's. She earned her third Tony nomination, this time for Best Performance by a leading actress in a play. The play itself was celebrated widely, earning 5 Tony nominations and the 2025 Pulitzer Prize for Drama. For the first time in a very long career, the conversation was about her, not as someone's wife, not as someone who waited her turn, but as an artist commanding the stage. And yet, even with this long overdue recognition, her response remained measured, shaped by years of perspective and grounding that fame never touched. Humility, direction, and love that endures. Even as the spotlight found her, LaTanya Richardson Jackson stayed rooted in humility. She spoke openly about where she came from. "I grew up in Atlanta, Georgia, a dark-skinned colored girl," she explained, noting that she was not someone people naturally looked toward. When asked if she enjoyed being the center of attention, she gently shut the idea down. "This is just a joyful spark," she said. She explained that she never chased the idea of being a star. Watching others live that way taught her something different. Her focus has always been broader. Beyond acting, LaTanya serves as Vice Chair of the American Theater Wing and Vice Chair of the Smithsonian Institution's National Museum of African American History and Culture. She also stays active in her local church. After Purpose closes, she plans to direct Pearl Cleage's Angry, Raucous, and Shamelessly Gorgeous at the Geffen Playhouse in Los Angeles. She has also been asked to direct productions featuring friends like Whoopi Goldberg and Felicia Rashad, and to work with Steppenwolf Theater in Chicago. Artistically, her goals are clear. She wants to tell stories about Black womanhood, unseen labor, and what women want when no one is there to tell them who to be. In the middle of all this growth, her marriage remains steady. In August 2025, Samuel and LaTanya celebrated their 45th wedding anniversary in Cannes, sharing photos on a boat under the French sun. "Celebrating 45 years of love in Cannes," they wrote, thanking God for their blessings. At a celebration hosted by Spike Lee in her honor, Samuel spoke proudly about his wife and their decades together. For LaTanya, this moment feels unreal. "Oh my God, how did I get this blessing?" she said. "I am overwhelmed. I am overjoyed." And whether she steps away from acting or returns again, one thing is certain. This moment belongs to her. Built slowly, lived fully, and shared with the man who has walked beside her for 45 years. Do you think LaTanya Richardson Jackson's story proves that it's never too late to step into your own spotlight? What part of LaTanya and Samuel L. Jackson's 45-year marriage stood out to you the most? Their loyalty, their patience, or their shared purpose? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more incredible stories from Hollywood's fascinating history. See you next time.